Good morning all of you. In this class we have to discuss about the geography first chapter called the resources. Okay. So in this chapter we have some important area, we have some important headlines. So I'll explain one by one. What do you mean by resources or the definition of resources? The resources are the materials and the supplies that can be used to produce goods and services in a particular country, that is called resources. Resources are nothing but the resources are the materials and the supplies that can be used to produce goods and services in a particular country. That is called resources. Clear? Here resources are clearly divided into two, which means the purposes of resources is nothing but they have to they divide into two types, utility and value. Okay, each and every resources have their own particular use. Okay, at the same time each and every resources have their own value. Here, so coming to the utility, so the utility is nothing but the water, the electricity, the rickshaw, the vegetables, the textbook, and something in common. The rickshaw, the electricity, then the water, the textbook, vegetables are the common resources that thing we are going to use. Okay, so each and every that particular things have their own use and utility. So each and every resources have their own use and utility. Clear? So next one, value. Each and every resources have their own value, which means value deals with the worth. What are the worth of the particular resources and the particular use of the particular resources. Here, some resources have economic value, some do not. Some resources have some particular economic value, some resources do not economic value. For example, metals may have metals have economic value. The metals or the iron have an economic value, but the beautiful landscape not. But here both landscape and metals comes under the resources. Okay, so some resources have its own value, some resources do not value it. Okay, so that point comes under value. So the purpose of resources is nothing but utility and value. Clear? So coming to the important points, the resources, the type of resources is divided into three: natural resources, human-made resources, and human resources. Okay, the types of resources is divided into three: natural resources, the human-made resources, and the human resources. Okay, so here natural resources are nothing. What are the things we get from the nature that is commonly known as natural resources? Okay, so whatever it is, what are the things we get from the nature? It may be a thing, it may be water, it may be electricity, it may be vegetables, it may be some other things. What are the things we get from the nature or we get from the atmosphere that is commonly known as the natural resources, or that things comes under the natural resources. It's not man-made. It's completely depends upon the nature. Clear? Okay. So here the natural resources is divided into four. Natural resources again is divided into four: actual resources, potential resources, renewable resources, and non-renewable resources. Okay, actual resources, potential resources, renewable resources, and non-renewable resources. Clear? So the actual resources are those resources whose quantity is known. Resources are being used in the present. The rich deposit of coal in Rabu region in Germany. Okay, here. So actual resources are nothing but the actual resources are based on the quantity of that particular resources, not quality. Actual resources are based on or depends on the quantity of a particular resources. Okay, so that actual resources is completely depends upon the materials which is used for the big industries. Okay, so we have to count that particular industrial product or raw material, but the kind of resources which is very much related to quantity. Okay, so that quantity resources is comes under actual resources. Clear? Quantity resources is comes under the quantity product, that particular quantity resources has comes under actual resources. That is the main point. Okay, the next one, potential resources.
One.
So here the actual resources are being used in the present. That is comes under the actual resources. Next one, the potential resources. The same thing. The potential resources also connected with the entire quantity of the particular resources. But here, these are not being used at present, which means the resources could be used in the future. Okay, the particular potential resources are going to use in the future only. That kind of resources comes under the potential resources. But both actual and potential resources are based on the entire quantity of the particular resources. Clear? So that's all the actual and the potential resources. That is the two type of natural resources of important resource area.